It's the SKOR North Twins Show. Baseball.
Another episode of the SKOR North Twins Show. Going for a complete game shutout. Trying to strike out the side here, I think, on the SKOR North Twins Show. We had a first episode talking about just kind of the state of the Twins. Trying to get that arm loose a little bit. Rotator cuff is a problem. If you're good with 45 mile an hour slop, then yes, I am your guy. I'm the Joey Wentz. You put me in only when I'm up a lot or down a lot. There is nothing in between. That's the only time I pitch.
It's always demoralizing when you go to like one of those carnival or fair velocity readers, like you just like throw a baseball against this thing and it'll tell you, and you're like, oh yeah,
ooh,
62 miles an hour.
Well, so last weekend we're in Delano, big 4th of July celebration in Delano, great Legion baseball event, fun times last weekend in Delano. The 11-year-old finds one of those you have to break the beer bottle, right?
Oh, I love that one.
And
Great
he's
game.
convinced, right? He's got unreal velo, just turned 11, locked in for Little League District 1 playoffs right now. His Golden Valley team smoked Blaine the other night. He's feeling really good, although that happened the other night. This was last weekend. But sure enough, one fastball, bottle shakes a little bit, doesn't break. Second fastball, same deal. It was very, very humbling for the young man.
It'll ruin your childhood. Ego wise, confidence stuff.
A SKOR North Twins Show velocity challenge at the state fair this year. That might have to happen now.
Yeah,
we'll see. We'll see. I don't know if Judd will actually get it to the glove, but
I can't throw anymore.
Yeah.
I got arm problems, so I can't throw.
Oh boy. That's not good.
Yeah.
Well, hey, Doogs, first off, welcome to the SKOR North Twins Show. Appreciate you. Thank you for joining us. So you've been talking with Derek Falvey. You've been talking with Sean Johnson with the draft around the way. Let's start with Falvey. Twins trade deadline steam is all over the place. You have Joe Ryan's name being floated around from John Morosi, but now the Twins have won 4 of their last 5. There's a lot of rentals on this team too that should attract some buyers, plus some other intriguing names like Ryan or even Duran or Griffin Jacks. I guess, what was your kind of overall conversation with Falvey? Is he still lean? The last time I spoke with him about 2 weeks ago, he said the classic executive thing of, we're going to wait all the way up to the deadline. I understand that creates a bidding war. But what was your kind of takeaways from talking with Derek Falvey earlier this week?
Oh, did we lose? Oh, we may have lost.
Yeah, I mean, comparable Declan to. Yeah, and I'm getting captured by the internet gremlins. Hopefully you still have me. Am I okay? Am I still here? Am I pixelating, or do you have me in?
I think we got you now. We're trying to see if there's a delay. Is there a delay?
Oh,
yes,
man.
I'm just going to put
a delay.
I'll put him in time out there for a second.
It's so good to start with when we're talking about his kid failing miserably at the bottle throw.
Before we get back to Doogie in here real quick, I'll ask a question off Declan setting up the Joe Ryan thing. What would it take for you guys to consider actually trading Joe Ryan in 3 weeks?
Boy, it would take. Well, number one, if they're going to start losing a bunch of games, and they're just clearly not going anywhere, and this 4 or 5 does mean absolutely nothing, which it certainly could. That's step one. Step 2 would be, I need your top prospect and probably another top 5 prospect, and maybe even just a serviceable arm back to help you get to a finish line or see what you have in a pitcher. I would need your top prospect, though, and 2 top 5 organizational prospects. He would easily net. Duran and Jax are going to, if they were to be moved, those would get some sizable returns too. Without a shadow of a doubt, Joe Ryan would get you the biggest return on this team.
But it would be a signal that you, aren't competing for a wild card spot this year, which I think if the division was more in play, then this would be a complete non-discussion. The fact that you're 13 games back in the division, it's like, all right, well, you're kind of evaluating this year and maybe next year's window. I think if you're going to trade Joe Ryan, you're basically punting on winning at a high level this year or next year, in which case I would also be aggressively shopping Carlos Correa and asking him, like, will you waive your no trade clause? He has a no trade clause, right?
Yes.
So he gets to dictate that whole interaction.
Yep.
I would then just be looking to accumulate whatever assets I could for like a 2027 resurgence. because Joe Ryan is one of the better starting pitchers in baseball, doesn't make very much money at all until he's a free agent in 2028. So he is a super valuable asset.
So if I was going to make that trade with the Cubs, who are conveniently in town today, so if I'm Derek Falvey, I just go to the opposing GM's box. I want their top prospect. His name is Owen Casey, Caissie, an outfielder whose estimated time of arrival is this year. And then I also want their top pitching prospect, Brandon Birdsell, who's a right-handed pitcher. He's the number 6 ranked prospect in the Cubs organization, also an ETA, according to MLB.com, of 2025. And that's what I'm asking for. That's my starting point.
Yeah. But you're going to be like pretty bad for the next, like worse than you are now. You're going to be a pretty bad baseball team.
Yep.
For the next couple years.
But I mean, it sounds like teams are calling, and if they're going to call, I would gather that they are prepared to make the type of offer that you would need to make. And in the case of Joe Ryan, I'm with Declan. I don't think there's anyone on this roster who touches the value of a starting pitcher with control left. But I have my doubts about him staying here long term. And so if I could maximize for him, I would at least consider it. But yeah, it would be a hard sell, no question about it. That's a hard one.
Yeah, it'd be tough. You'd take a significant back seat from a pitching side. Their prospect pool is actually very intriguing from position players. The Twins, Walker Jenkins in Double-A, Kalen Culpepper's in Double-A, Gabby Gonzalez, the guy that got in the Polanco trade, legitimately making a case for the Twins minor league player of the year. The dude almost has 1,000 OPS this season. He's come completely back after kind of a down year in his first year in the Twins organization. They have a lot of intriguing position players. Not talking about Luke Keeschall or Emmanuel Rodriguez either. Pitching side, though, Andrew Morris hasn't come up. Unless Zebby and David Festa, and Festa was solid yesterday. I think Zebby's going to start on Saturday, by the way, and it might just be like a bulk appearance. Might just be 40 pitches because they need a pitcher for Saturday. Might not be a full start. Unless Zebby and David Festa magically flip a switch and can maybe carry the load of what Joe Ryan gave you production-wise, which I'm still skeptical of, you would take a huge back step from a pitching side to Phil's point, and competing in 2026 would be very tough to do.
Yeah, it also just like perpetuates this cycle of the horizon's always a year or two in the future. And because what's interesting is go back 3 years ago, and part of the reason why you wound up acquiring Carlos Correa was because, oh, look, Joe Ryan is coming up through the pipeline here. Like, he's ready to pop as one of your top 2 pitchers. And Bailey Ober is here. And so Correa, along with Buxton being healthy and Royce Lewis is on the way, it's like you add Correa to help elevate this really interesting, good young core. And then 3 years later, you look up and like all those dudes are in their prime. Yeah. Ryan's 29, Royce Lewis is 26, Matt Wallner's 28, Larnach is 28, like former first-round pick. And most, if not all, the guys I just mentioned are not performing at the level that they should in their prime. And so now you're talking about, well, do you start trading from that core group? And like how many, it's been 20 years of core groups and key contributors coming through this organization and either never winning a playoff game or barely being part of any significant playoff success. And I'm not saying that it would be the wrong decision to trade Joe Ryan, because if you can get a haul and just be bad for a minute, but have just, okay, let's try again with new ownership in a couple years to push forward with another young nucleus, it would just signal the end of another nucleus that you are moving on from. Mm-hmm. And I'm just kind of sick of that.
Dukes, I think we got you.
I'm good.
Okay.
Yeah, the internet gremlins kicked my behind for about 5 minutes. It may have been the 11-year-old after I ripped his performance at the Delano Carnival 4th of July weekend that he couldn't break that beer bottle thinking he had really good velo. He may have done something across the house that I wasn't aware of. But yes, if you have me now, fantastic.
Do you think they're going to trade Joe Ryan?
No, I don't. No. I mean, just this week, Declan, I know you and I went back and forth last week about the Yankees and Phillies having scouting representation at Target Field. The Padres as well. In fact, the Phillies have a new scout in town this week. So the Phillies have had 2 different scouts watch the Twins. The same Yankee scout has been in town. You can make a case the Yankees could use Joe Ryan. The Phillies, maybe not as much, but certainly New York. John Morrissey is spot on. The Red Sox have long been fans of Joe Ryan. You can make a case for a number of teams that could use Joe Ryan, but no. The sense I get, not just from sitting down with Derek Falvey on Tuesday afternoon, but some other things, I would be shocked. Now, hey, Phil, I'm with you. If they are blown away on July 30th that night or the morning of July 31st, you consider it. And I will note, there have not been any extension talks on the Joe Ryan front to date. Not that there had to be or has to be. He's still under team control for multiple more years. We get that. But to me, that's a guy you do want to secure for the next 5, 6, perhaps even longer years. But just so far, for whatever that's worth, take that however you want. There have not been any extension talks on the Joe Ryan front.
Okay, so who, if they are going to make moves, and the possibility certainly exists before July 30th, who did you suss out? Who do you think is potentially on the block?
Well, I mean, Derek told me on the record, getting way more calls about the logical candidates compared to like a Louis Varland. I brought up how great a story Louis is. Then I just threw in there, hey, I bet you get a lot of calls about Louis. He said, well, I mean, there's some teams interested in some of our young players, but not as much. And so it's the logical candidates. Go up and down the list, right? The Willie Castros, the Chris Paddocks, Harrison Bader. I know there's a mutual option for 2026, but no lock that Bader is here next year. I'm not sure Ty France has all that much value. Now, hey, for a stretch, the batting average with runners in scoring position, really good. So, like, could he help a team off the bench? Yeah, I think so. I'm not, like, dismissing that idea, but I don't know if there's a playoff, like, a legit playoff team that says, okay, Ty France is a clear upgrade over what we have at first base. But he would be another, right? Because no lock that Ty France is here next year. So it's all those logical candidates. Where I think we need to have some interesting conversations is, okay, you look at the bullpen. Like, there was a trade this morning. I don't know if you guys mentioned this, but the Rays and the Orioles completed a trade. The Orioles send a capable reliever to the Rays for a competitive draft pick. Pick number 37. The Twins actually have pick 36 right in front there. I don't know. Is it, like, fair to wonder, call this reckless speculation on this Thursday, but, like, could the Twins have done that trade for Brock Stewart? So Brock Stewart to Tampa, pick 37 in the draft here. But I don't know if the Twins would have done that. They already have 4 picks in the top 100. So I don't get the sense, even on a Brock Stewart, that they're looking to move him. Certainly not Louis. Like Griffin Jax, you'd have to be blown away. I know Jeff Passan has a story that's available on ESPN.com right now, attaching Griffin Jax to many different teams, heck, including the Detroit Tigers, that the Tigers could use an upgrade in the bullpen, that Griffin Jax would be an unreal fit for the Tigers. I agree. There's no debating that, but I would be surprised if they go that route right now. Maybe that's something you look at more in the offseason. Duran as well, like the Dodgers. I mean, you mean to tell me the Dodgers couldn't use Duran, but I don't know if we're going to see that. I need to hear, put it this way, I need to hear more stuff between now and like the morning of the 31st to believe that they'll go that route.
And Dukes, from what we learned even last year and just honestly from years prior, the in-division tax for trades, especially within, at least in the AL Central from what we know, is huge. Like when they wanted Michael Kopech last year, the White Sox said, give us Luke Keeschall, which like Kopech is now back from the injured list. He's an awesome reliever. The Dodgers have kind of unlocked him even to a new level, but that would be an insane overpay for a reliever. So if they were to do Griffin Jax, I'm sure Derek Falvey would say, well, then let's talk your third or fourth best prospect from a starting point. But I think Bader, Castro, even Danny Coulomb actually might make that one makes a ton of sense. He's a lefty. He's having an awesome year. On Bader, though, and Castro, I think you'd have to create either a bidding war or you have to be completely out of it for them to probably move one of those two dudes. Bader's clubhouse presence, and he's having a solid year at the plate, probably even exceeding what he's normally supposed to do. They love that guy. And if they were to trade Harrison Bader, I do know that would be a huge blow to the clubhouse. They would be upset about that. But if you can get the right prospect, like let's say you got Bader up to the deadline and you were able to get a top 10 prospect for him. I think that's far-fetched, but let's play that scenario out. If you're Derek Falvey, do you have to say yes to that idea? It's kind of where I'd go.
I guess I need the specific name, but I'm with you. Like, they've tried to acquire Harrison Bader long before this past winter. They've had their eyes on Bader for a while. I am sure they'd love to find a way to secure Bader's services for sure in 2026, but he's got a little bit of a hammer with the mutual option. Like, yeah, I mean, I see it. I was in the clubhouse on Tuesday. Like, he held court. Like, Buck was in there for a second. And not that Buck won't talk. Heck, Buck's been rolling. Why wouldn't Buck talk? But there are certain guys that run to their locker, then go to the back. Bader always has time. I don't remember a time that Bader has turned me down for a conversation, for an interview. Heck, he was showing off to a few people his new Bruce Bolt batting gloves. You know, they got like the fire design.
Yeah,
I don't think he used them in the game last night or even on Tuesday. But yeah, I mean, he's got that sort of personality. And so, yeah, like, Castro makes sense to me. Paddock is the one that makes the most sense to me. Now, hey, credit to them, because they could have given him away. There were offers on Paddock in the winter. They absolutely could have given him away if they just wanted to shed the contract. They decided, hey, there's a little bit more there. Let's wait this thing out. But now at this point, like, what are the chances that Chris Paddock is here next year? I think it's so darn minimal. And hey, if you feel like this team can make a run somehow, August, September, you probably could do so whether Paddock is here or not. So, like, if we're making a pecking order of most likely Twins to be traded, I think I put Chris Paddock number one.
Yeah.
I will not stand for this Chris Paddock slander. Okay, that's my guy. You guys are talking about
Paddock
that,
defender.
Paddock, yeah. Dukes, do we have? Let's talk ownership here. What? Couple things. One, there's been some questions. I've seen these over the last year or two too. That, like, okay, is there a chance that Mark and Alex could come in with a group, Bloomberg, whoever else, or that he might own part of a baseball team, and buy the Twins? The Wilfs fans have said it'd be great if the Wilfs could come in and buy the Twins. Glenn Taylor is a billionaire who just got a nice chunk of money from his exit. Could have been nicer if he had maybe waited 2 more years, but any familiar names that we should have our eye on, and any other ownership update here? The Twins have been for sale publicly for almost a year now.
Yeah, well, none of those names. I will tell you that when I sat down with Falvey for 25 minutes on Tuesday pregame, he made it very clear that there isn't going to be any sort of movement on the ownership front in the next couple weeks. So all his dialogue is with Joe Pohlad. He is being told, operate as you normally would heading into the trade deadline. So it's not like he's got some sort of edict to shed salary, that you have to shed salary. We're on the cusp of selling the team. This thing is about to go through. Let's shed some salary.
So Joe told him you can operate as usual, trade for an injured pitcher as usual at the deadline, and it'll be fine.
Trade for Tyler Mahle. Yeah. Well, Texas trade Tyler Mahle. Derek is operating as he normally would. You can believe that, not believe that, but I don't know. I mean, just going back and forth with Derek, I bought what he was telling me, that nothing is going to change on the ownership front in the next couple of weeks. He's operating as he normally would. Glenn Taylor, no interest in the Twins. Mark Lowry, Alex Rodriguez, no. Perhaps interest in another franchise in town? I wouldn't dismiss that. But interest in the Twins, the answer would be no. The Wilfs, I have not heard that. No. And so I don't have any new name. Like, we know Marty Davis, Cambria's, big boss. Yeah, there's interest. I don't know if Marty and the Davis family can quite get to the number the Twins are seeking. Like, could Marty be a limited partner? Yeah, that would make sense to me. I don't know if the Davis family can quite get to 1 point whatever it is, $5, $6, $7 billion.
So, Dukes, in fact, in Sunday's Pioneer Press, our friend shooter Charlie Walters had a note saying he cited industry sources that the Twins have an offer on the table, and then had a very confusing thing about the debt, which I AI'd and speculated heavily about what the heck the debt forgiveness might mean. But I would take it. I told Dex this too. I would take it that if Shooter has something about that, it's not coming from the Twins. I don't think it's not coming
No.
from baseball. But my guess it's local people, right? Like I don't think the
Yeah.
shooter's got a note about a guy
That's
in
okay,
Montana. No. But I'm just saying,
Yeah.
putting the pieces together. I
Yeah.
wonder if you're going down the right track, and I wonder if it is a group that would involve, for instance, Marty Davis and
Yes.
others locally. That was how I sort of read things, knowing nothing about and having not talked to Charlie about this.
Well, astute observation by you, Judd. Credit to you for finding a hard copy of the Pioneer Press, or maybe you read it on TwinCities.com, finding that shooter column
Quick
from
visit.
Sunday. So, yes, do I think those who are watching/listening to this right now, if they're not aware of the Davis family, if they're interested in the Twins ownership situation, should they know about the Davis family? 100%. Yes. Get to know Marty Davis, the Davis family. That, yes, when this thing inevitably gets across the finish line, I say inevitably, who knows? Maybe the Pohlads would have a change of heart at some point. I'm not even sure every family member is quite on the same page, but I do think at some point it is inevitable. They will sell. That if you're curious about this situation, yes, definitely know the Davis family. On the debt situation, Judd, I mean, this is just me speculating, but could Major League Baseball accept that and maybe the new ownership group pays the debt back in like installments, something like that?
I saw that speculated on, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, something like that to me would make some sense. It would.
Yeah, that's an interesting part because we don't really know where that debt has all come from. Reportedly, like the Twins, for example, during the COVID years, like they kept everyone on staff and they were still pumping money into the ballpark. So that chunk of debt is likely a part of it. But I mean, $400 million is a significant amount, and yes, if whether it's the Twins or the new party can use Major League Baseball as a facilitator, that's just another complicated spider web in this entire process.
And you know what? Whatever you think of the Pohlads, give them credit for that. And I've heard that. That's just not me opining. Like knowing a handful of people over there really well, going back decades, they really enjoy working for the Pohlads, the Pohlad family. And I mean, that was part of it. That during COVID, when other major league organizations were letting people go, cutting back in so many big ways, the Twins didn't do that. So I'm just saying, that's fine. I get it. Hey, I'm there too, right? Like there's ownership fatigue at this point, right? When you put it out there last year, we're exploring selling the team. You raise the expectation level that, yeah, you are going to sell the team.
People
now
celebrated.
As we fast forward, 9 months, 9 months?
Champagne bottles.
We're like, what? Come on, let's go.
Right.
There really hasn't been a whole lot of definitive updates. Yeah, okay, the Ishbia fellow, like maybe that excited some people for a hot second, but there are other people that said that was all part of the process to get more in with the White Sox. That he's there in the Chicago area. Like the White Sox were always the end game plan. It wasn't necessarily the Twins. Sure, do your due diligence, explore, but it was good to let some of the Reinsdorf / White Sox people know what was going on and speed up that process on the White Sox front. So I get it. You hear Justin Ishbia's name and you're like, okay, right? Like brother Matt spends all this money with the Phoenix Suns. Like, yeah, that would be fantastic. But I'm not sure this thing really has moved forward all that much going back, a good 9 months. But I do think eventually it will.
By the way, a shout out to Element Hotel. So if you're looking for a place to stay, obviously the Twins are in the midst of a big homestand right now. Maybe you're a Pittsburgh Pirates fan. You need a last minute place to stay. Element Hotel, it's steps away from Target Field, or you're just looking for a night out in the North Loop. SKORNorth.com/element2 for a 15% discount on your room rate. Doogs, what's the Twins' latest draft plans? MLB draft is coming up here in a few days. What are the Twins' plans with their first few picks?
Yeah, so I spent some time with Sean Johnson, VP of Amateur Scouting / Assistant General Manager. He's run the Twins draft room since 2017, has been a part of the draft process long before. Like he had his fingerprints on the Byron Buxton pick in 2012, but he's had final say going back to 2017. So like the Royce Lewis pick in 2017 That was his final say. All the drafts since then, heck, even the last couple of years, you think about Walker Jenkins, top 100 prospect in the game. Kalen Culpepper, top 100 prospect in the game. The lefty Hill, they selected in the 80s last year, like knocking on the door of being a top 100 prospect. Soto, the pitcher from 23, knocking on the door of being a top 100 prospect. Luke Keeschel, not like he was a first-round pick, made it to the big league. So Sean Johnson has a good track record, him and his staff, of drafting pretty darn well. You go in that Twins clubhouse, go up and down the list of the Griffin Jackses, the Ryan Jeffers, right? So many draft picks, Bailey Ober, Zebby Matthews, go up and down the list, right? So many guys in that Twins clubhouse, Brooks Lee, go in that Twins clubhouse. Those guys were drafted by Sean Johnson. So yeah, the draft starts on Sunday. It's Sunday and Monday. The Twins have 4 picks in the top 100. Their top pick is pick number 16. They have the 12th largest pool. So there's some games that are played behind the scenes of, okay, how much money will you divvy to this guy and to that guy and to this guy? And you have this pool of money and you can divvy it up however you see fit. So they have the 12th most amount of money to spend among all the teams. So that's pretty good. So they can manipulate things however they see fit. I sense at pick 16, it's going to be a position player, not a pitcher. Certainly not a high school pitcher. And I don't think it'll be a college pitcher. I for sure don't think it'll be Gage Wood, the Arkansas pitcher who threw the no-hitter in the College World Series. So recency bias, you've seen some mock drafts where Gage Wood is right in that ballpark,
ESPN has Gage Wood going to the Twins at 16 right now.
I would say he's not going to the Twins.
Okay. Yeah, they also
that's the one specific name, a nugget that I'll give you. Like, I'll be shocked. Put it that way. I'll be shocked. Now, if he's on the board at 36, maybe we have a different conversation. But at 16, I'll be shocked if Gage Wood is the Twins pick.
They have for ESPN for the competitive balance pick, which is the 36th pick that the Twins have. It's another Arkansas kid. It's their left-handed batting center fielder, and I believe it's pronounced Charles Davelin. Initially from Waterloo, Canada, but went to college initially at FGCU in Fort Myers, right in the backyard of Hammond Stadium, and then transferred to Arkansas. But he's a 5'9" left-handed hitting outfielder, 190 pounds, who slugged .561 for Arkansas last year, stole 10 bases, batted .346. So there's some college dudes in there that, 21 years old instead of 18 years old, if you're looking to expedite the pipeline there a little bit, that might be available.
Yeah, and that's where I would probably lean. Like, if you're asking me, okay, right now, is it a high school position player or a college position player? I lean college position player, but I also sort of need to see the board to some extent, like at least through pick 11 to 12, with the possibility that, again, there's some manipulation behind the scenes. So there are some prep shortstop / second baseman that they've done a ton of homework on. So I'm not dismissing that. But if you're asking me right this second, and it's not a catcher. So when I say position player, either a middle infielder or an outfielder. But yeah, I would lean that way. College pitcher would slightly surprise me. Would absolutely surprise me. So it could be a different college pitcher, maybe. High school pitcher, no. But yeah, I mean, there's a really good track record there. They do a good job of drafting. Even a guy like Spencer Steer having success right now with the Cincinnati Reds, right? He was a Twins draft pick. So Sean and his guys, they're pretty darn good. Maybe I'm biased because I've known Sean for a long time, but he's rock solid. I really do believe that.
Hey, Dukes and Dex, it feels like, and the second kid's name that Phil read about, the center fielder, fits the bill. Have the Twins been trying to go in recent drafts more athletic a little bit? Like Kalen Culpepper sounds like a guy that has athletic ability. It just feels like a lot of the Twins' previous draft picks at times are guys that had power. I mean, the Sabato pick is the poster child for that. Have they been putting a little bit more of a premium, at least high in the draft, on guys that can, let's say, for instance, steal a base, can run a little bit more?
Yeah. Kalen Culpepper is a good one there. Judd Kyle DeBarge too, who was drafted, I believe, was that last year? Yeah, he was a 33rd pick, and he has. Let me pull this up here. 45 steals at high A in 73 games. Dude's is a stolen base machine. So I think they have. They've also, if you can't go wrong, and this is my amateur baseball draft guy here, you can't go wrong drafting shortstops and center fielders. Right? Like eventually these guys are the best athletes in the field. When you draft the Sabatos and you pigeonhole yourselves, and hell, maybe Aaron Sabato's coming up to the Twins. He's having a hell of a year. It just took him 4 years to figure it out.
He's my age.
He is your age. But draft the best athletes and then let the chips fall is probably a good strategy.
Sure. Although, let me offer up Brooks Lee. We're not talking about a phenomenal athlete in Brooks Lee.
Right.
But we're talking baseball smarts.
He's a ball player.
Yep.
Right? So I guess my response is it varies. Yeah, certainly last year with their top 2 picks, Culpepper, DeBarge, incredible athletes. Walker Jenkins, I'm telling you. Walker Jenkins was an unreal swimmer. If you look at Walker Jenkins for whatever reason with his shirt off coming out of high school, you'd be like, that's a high school senior? No freaking way. Right? So, yes, you look at some names the last couple of years, but I don't need to go that far back to give you Brooks Lee.
Sure.
And it's not like Brooks is a bad athlete, but you get what I mean. But incredibly smart, right? They value that too. They certainly value character. I mean, Sean was telling me on and on and on about combine interviews, other interviews they've done, all these background checks. I mean, heck, some of these medical records too. It's amazing what's in some of these medical records. There are some injuries that go back to when some of these players were in Little League. No joke.
13-year-old sprained his ankle in a Mickey Mantle tournament.
Well, I think maybe more so pitchers and maybe some shoulder / elbow.
So your kids have been scouted. So your boys are being scouted active. Can't break a bottle. Take Gage Wood instead.
Dukes, any last Twins notes in your bag here?
Good question. You want injury updates? Have you guys done those yet? Ober, Matthews, Keishel, Pablo.
Is Zebby going to throw? Is Zebby going to throw on Saturday for the Twins? That's what I've heard.
Ooh, I will check on that. So you heard that, huh?
Yeah, he might not make a full start. He might just make a bulk.
Okay, because he thought he was going to make a start in St. Paul first.
Also could happen.
Okay, let me check on that. No, I've not heard that, but I'm not dismissing it, Declan. Let me check on that. I mean, his session the other day. In fact, I walked in. I had to go through a different entrance. Anyway, I watched Zebby throw about 5 pitches on the mound on Tuesday afternoon. He looked really, really good. Derek told me that too. All the data, they had all the cameras set up and everything. Derek told me everything checked out perfect. Everything was back to where you would think of Zebby. Think about Zebby. I know he didn't have a ton of success in that start at American Family Field in Milwaukee a handful of weeks ago, but he also struck out 4 or 5 Brewers, some pretty good batters. That stuff was there on the mound on Tuesday. So based on that, Declan, why not use him at Target Field, not CHS Field this weekend? Point is, he's ready to go. Bailey Ober felt great on the mound at Target Field the other day. So with the hip issue, he's about ready to come back. Luke Keishel was in the batter's box facing Zebby Matthews on Tuesday. So that's a next step. He's still weeks away from a potential return to the Twins, rehab assignment and all that. But that's pretty darn good progress. With Pablo, everything is checking out well, but this was always going to be mid to late August at the earliest, if not into September, with that teres muscle issue. And so he's progressing. There hasn't been a setback or anything, but it's still going to be a while for Pablo Lopez.
There he is, Darren Doogie Wolfson, joining us on his debut on the SKOR North Twins Show. Thank you.
Should I be jacked up at all that they have won back-to-back series for the first time since mid-May?
Oh, yeah. Judge jacked up.
All right.
Let's all get jacked up.
I attended the last 2 games with a longtime friend who's a Cubs fan, and let's just say
I saw on Facebook. Yeah,
he was far he was far more. Well, I couldn't get enough tickets. Let's just say he was far more down on the Cubs' approach than he was on the Twins' wins.
Okay.
Wow.
The Cubs had a great homestand. I guess they're going to the Yankees this weekend, and let's just say I think they're taking this series off. The approach has been terrible.
They're just
Their approach at the
mailing
plate's
it
been
in.
brutal.
Wow.
Well,
Kyle
and the
Tucker,
Brewers are winning. The Brewers sweep
Score
the
North Cub Show.
Dodgers. So
yeah.
what are
Hey,
we
Kyle
talking, like
Tucker,
a game
you're
and a
playing
half?
baseball. You might want to care. Like
Yeah,
last
like
night,
the Cubs
just
lead in that division
inexcusable.
is
Yeah,
dwindling.
tenuous, and they
There's-
aren't playing well.
There's no doubt about that. What, Fangraphs this morning, Declan? 25% chance for the Twins to make the playoffs now?
Yeah.
What was it, 9% last week?
Right. Yeah. That's right, Kyle Tucker. If you were looking for Kyle Tucker getting your ass in gear updates, you got Judd there.
Oh, I got
to,
more for you.
to go.
I got more. We had some terrible approaches last night at the plate. We being the Cubs.
And I don't have a Buck update outside of, late last night. I don't know if you were in the clubhouse late last night,
Yeah.
Declan, but, said,
Cast.
hey, I'll be okay. Not in the lineup today, but he may have been off day game after night game anyway, heading into the weekend with Paul Skeens on the mound on Friday. If it doesn't rain, Mitch Keller looks like we'll go for the Pirates on Sunday. So, yeah, you'd love to sweep the Pirates, and I get it. Their offense is pretty darn bad, but you will face some good arms this weekend. So it may have been a Buck day off anyway today, but I just don't have an update on that left hand.
Speaking of bad, PCA awful in this series, dude. People paid to see you. It's just
Fade the
Why are we
terrible.
still
show.
talking about the
Fade
Cubs?
the show.
Why are we still talking about the Cubs?
Declan,
We're done.
end the show.
PCA, you might
End
want to
the
show
show.
up.
Thank you, Doogie. Thank you, Doogie. SKOR North Twins Show.
Goodbye.